Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. You know, it works better when you add yourself to the stage and before you go live. That way, when the music ends, you're there. and you're not hunting around for the right button to add yourself to the stage. This is only number 255. I figure by about 400, I should get this down. Happy Monday, everybody, or Sunday, rather. There's another one for you, Russell. Yeah. Happy Sunday, everybody. First of all, thank you for joining me. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. And yeah, Bull, I like that tune as well. I try not to listen to it uh, offline simply because I I don't want to get tired of it. It's kind of a relaxing thing. People ask me, "Do you get nervous before you go live? How do you do this in front of the camera?" Yeah, I get nervous. I play a little bit of music to get me jazzed up and ready to go and wake myself up. And then this music that I picked for the countdown timer kind of brings me back down so I'm not still in the AC/DC groove. You know what I mean? So, anyway, I don't always listen to AC/DC, but when I do, so do my neighbors. Anyhow, today we're going to get into talking about part 3 of the Absolute Beginner series, where we designed a very simple clock face project uh, just to kind of get folks it, to give folks the ability to kind of associate these tools with an actual real world project that could be actually cut out and then, put up in your shop or whatever. I find that working with vectors, working with tools, working with tool paths are a heck of a lot easier to talk about when you're putting them into real world situations and you're not just speaking conceptually, you know. So that was my reasoning for doing that video that way. Before we get too deep into it, however, I wanted to say hello and give a shout out to my friend Steve over at Harneal Media. Now, we talk about this every week, and we're going to continue talking about it every week because, simply put, Steve is the man, the myth, and the legend. And if you are even considering a website to establish or increase your web presence, there's no better way to do it than with a website, number one, because it gives you legitimacy, number one. It shows people that you care, that you're serious. It also opens the door to several other avenues that may or may not be interesting or even available to you. If you're thinking about any kind of an affiliate program, if you're thinking about any kind of a sponsorship deal, most of them will require you to have a website that's current and up to date. I will only ever recommend Steve for your website journey simply because he gives you performance. He doesn't give you excuses. He's not going to try to convince you that you can live without something that you really want. If you want it, he will make it so. He's extremely competitively priced. You'll wonder how he does everything he does so cheaply. I imagine he does too. Sorry, Steve, didn't mean to give away nothing. But I'm telling you, if you're even remotely thinking about a website, go over to harnealmedia.com. There's a link to Harneal Media in everything on this channel, be it a edited video or a live stream. And it's that way for a reason. Go to harnealmedia.com, click on that contact us link, and shoot him a message. He'll talk with you. He'll work with you. You will not be sorry. So thank you, Steve. Thank you for everything you do. And yeah, do yourself a favor. Get over there. Okay. What we're doing um, is kind of playing around with, I'm remaking the entire series, the first 10 anyway. And this is for new users. This is for folks who are new to version 12 of the software that maybe need a little bit more help in finding some of the tools or figuring out the uses of the new tools. I started doing this. Version 9, I think, was my earliest videos. And a lot of things have changed since version 9. And a lot of methods for doing what we do have changed. Some are obsolete. Some are just non-existent, or they're just the forms have changed or the methods have changed. So uh, after quite a bit of prodding, I decided to remake the first 10 of this series. Now I've got other projects in the background, as you can kind of see behind me. John is asking, what are we building with the stepper motors? We aren't building anything. I have an extra setup here, and somebody was interested in buying this extra setup. And that's what that is. That was some photos taken and what have you, and then sent to this individual. And simply put, John, I forgot to take all that stuff off the table before I went live, so it's in the background. But I'm not building anything. The plan was to build a dedicated rotary axis machine, and that plan changed. And simply put, I don't have the room for it. So the extra items that I bought to build that dedicated machine are no longer needed. So they're being sold off here and there. So that's what that is. No new machines in my future. Once I got the rotary added to the Avid, that was written in stone. That's settled. So that should answer that. Let's see what other questions we've got going out here. And by all means, if you have any questions at all, any questions, feel free to put them over in the chat and we'll get to them in due course. No question is too big or too small. Let's go. Kimberly asked, I love the metric users, but for me, it's super distracting when the metric equivalent appears as you're speaking. I did that specifically for the metric users. I'm very sorry you find it distracting, but we in the US that use Imperial, we can relate to, if I say 12 inches, we can relate to that. We know what that means. If I say 3/4 of an inch thick, we can relate to that. Folks who were raised with the metric system haven't. They can't relate to that. So what I have to do is give people a reference that they can wrap their head around. So if I say 3/4 of an inch, that's actually 19.05 millimeters. A person who is used to working in metric can wrap their head around that. I got a lot of comments and questions asking about, why do you use Imperial? Simply put, I was raised on it. I try to avoid the entire metric versus Imperial argument, because to me, it's kind of like Apple versus PC or Chevy versus Ford. It's whatever you're comfortable using, use it. But I'm sorry it's a distraction, but I can't think of another way of giving the folks overseas who use metric, or the folks in Canada or Mexico, I can't figure another way of giving them a reference that they can wrap their head around real easily. So it's not going to go away. I can make it a little bit less obtrusive, a little bit smaller. But the other thing that I have to think about is where I place that. The text appears up towards the top because I also close caption all my videos. And I translate those closed captions into 12 other languages. So fully 40% of my viewers use those closed caption in one language or another. So I can't put those subtitles down below where the closed captions are going to obscure them. So they have to be up above. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background that most folks wouldn't think about, but I try not to do anything by accident. I can't control it always, but it's there for a reason, and I will make it a little bit smaller. One of the other reasons that I do that is because, like when I say that I'm doing the live Q&A at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, I put that up in text as well. That's more of a reminder. It's a bolder statement that puts it into people's head, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, because it goes by real quick when I say it. And even with the closed captions, it goes by really quick. So that's kind of it's up there for 4 seconds. The metric equivalents are up there for 3 seconds. They fade in and they fade out. So I know it's a distraction, but I can't think of another way of giving the folks who use metrics something relatable that they can wrap their head around. So, I mean, it's if you know, you know. So, okay. Yeah, so that's why I do that. And the complaints, the comments about metric versus imperial have reduced to 0. So I figure I must be doing something right anyway. But again, I do sympathize, and I am sorry that it is a distraction, but I can't think of another way of doing what I'm trying to accomplish. Yeah, I didn't think you were mad, Kimberly. I really didn't. I didn't think you were mad, and I didn't take it as such. And I'm open to criticism like that. I can't get better if I don't know something's broke. So by all means, let me go. Let me go. Let me know, for those of you who can speak. So let's see. There was another question over here, and this is kind of a popular one as well. And this is from Clay Enos. And he wants to know, does Vectric have any way of increasing the font size or the tool selection icons to be slightly larger? I have some vision impairment, which sometimes makes it difficult for me. And a few people chimed in saying, yes, they can relate. They also have problems. These old eyes here have troubles as well. Believe me. This is one of those situations where this would be a good question for Vectric tech support. So I would get over onto Vectric's website and get their tech support email address and shoot them a message. There may be a way that I'm not aware of. I can say, let me bring up my screen here. If you go click on your start button, and I'm assuming Windows 10 or Windows 11, either one, and you go into settings, you can go up here and type in display size. You can make text bigger, or you can make everything bigger. This include apps, change the size of the apps and the text on your main main display. Now, Kimberly is saying, let's do a grassroots appeal for visual inclusion. That is not a bad idea. I have always thought that there should be a way to get in and maybe change colors or adjust sizes, because another thing to consider is color blindness. Now, it depends on the type of color blindness you have, but some people have a real hard time with this blue. And that's not something that a person without color blindness or a vision impairment would think about. So you can get in. My point here is you can get into your settings on Windows and you can change display sizes. But as far as specifically Vectric, I'm not aware of any way to do that. Now, Michael Mazalik has said, no, they have not developed that option yet, but it's been talked about. This is one of those cases of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The more people that request something like that, the more likely they are to act on it. Now, they may be working on it in the background. But again, if you have color blindness and you have a problem with this blue font, it would be nice to be able to change that color to a color that you can distinguish from the rest of the grays or whites or other colors out here. And I agree. Some of it is difficult. This new display took me a while to get used to. So shoot them a message. And okay, Clay says Windows option changes everything, but only need it for Vectric. Yeah, I do understand that. Windows, as far as I know, doesn't have an option to let you increase the display on specific apps or programs. It's just all or nothing. But it's, yeah, I know it was meant in jest, but Brooks may be onto something here. A larger monitor can help. So, I mean, I've only got 24-inch monitors here. I have two 24-inch monitors. That's why I'm looking over here when I'm working with the software. But I'm seriously thinking about a 32-inch monitor in the house on my main design computer, because I still have issues with some text. Some are very, very tiny to me. And, these eyes ain't what they used to be, believe me. Let's see. Kimberly says those of us closer to retirement are the ones who can afford the software. True. And CNC machine and are more likely to have difficulty seeing tiny things without multiple glasses changes. Oh my goodness, Kimberly. I have glasses all over the house, mainly because I use them for different things. But these are my shop glasses. They stay out here. I have another pair of glasses in my main design room. They stay in there. I have another in the bedroom on the computer in there. They stay there. I have another on the bedside table for reading in bed. They stay. So I'm with you. And it's a pain in the what when you have one set of glasses and you need the other set. So, Richard Brooks says, hook your PC monitor or laptop to a 32-inch TV. Well, that's whatever it takes. I mean, on the wall back there, that side, on the wall back there is a 27-inch monitor, and that's for Mach 4. That's on the computer that runs Mach 4, and that's all it runs. So I can see it from standing over further away from the monitor. And I'm thinking seriously about that 32-inch monitor going up here and that 27 going into the house into my design computer there. But because it's funny, those of us of a certain age, let's say closer to retirement age, Kimberly, um, we were raised with basically get away from the TV. You're going to hurt your eyes being so close to the TV. Now we're sitting right on top of it. So, but sitting in front of a big 32-inch monitor, it's almost like you're being engulfed by it. So I'm thinking about taking the 27. Uh, Kimberly, you rule. You rule. Gas for your next trips to Lens Crafters. Meet you there. Yeah, I'll buy lunch. Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. And Kimberly, thank you for the super chat. I don't normally do this. I don't normally do this, but Kimberly, you rule, number one. But may I make a suggestion? And that is you become a channel member rather than do the super chats. I want to give value. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate the donation, but I would like to give you something in return for that. And at the least, becoming a channel member would bring you into the fold and give you access to the members only live stream on Monday evening. We'll put you into the super secret Facebook group and add you to the group chat, which is a solid gold trip and worth that anyway. And that invitation is open to everybody. We have a great time. Some of these people are absolutely nuts, and some of them are insanely talented. So, and Ellen has asked me a few times to mention it to you. Um, you'd be a welcome addition to the group, and Ellen won't feel so alone. But and that invitation stands for everybody. Everybody. Okay, let's see. Brooks Martin says he uses a 42-inch design computer monitor. Holy cow. Um, Steve is running three 32-inch monitors. The only reason I haven't gone bigger is more space. I'm hip. I would need a bigger room myself. Let's see here. There was something else. There it is. Rick Jackson. Control Z and the scroll wheel, you can momentarily zoom out and in. Control Z and the scroll wheel. Really? Let's give this a try. Always up for new tips and tricks. Let's get over here and let's see. Okay, so I'm scrolling in and out. Now, if I hold down Control Z and zoom in, well, it doesn't do anything that I can see. Huh. Control Z and press the scroll wheel. Oh, okay. Control Z and press the scroll wheel. Nope, didn't do anything. Control Z and press the scroll. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I'm not doing it. Hey, 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 hey. Welcome aboard, Kimberly. Members only live stream tomorrow, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. I'll get into it a little bit more in just a minute. Welcome aboard. Rick says go outside the window. Okay. So if I go out here, let's say, Okay, maybe I'm not getting you, Rick. Control Z and press the scroll wheel. Control Z. Nope, it's not doing anything. Nope, I must be doing something. I must not be doing something right. But then again, I've got a lot of stuff running in the background here, so it might be interfering with something else. But I'll look and see what's going on. Let's see. Control Z works on my browser, but not the Aspire app. Oh, I see what you're saying. So let me come up here, Control Z, and zoom in. No, it's not doing anything. Nope. Okay. I thought maybe we had something. Go over here, Control Z and scroll. Nope. If I go, okay, Control. Okay, Control and scroll wheel works on most web browsers. Let's see. That's just Control and scroll wheel. Nothing. Control and scroll wheel. It doesn't even work on my web browser. Okay, it does. Yes, it does work on my web browser, but that doesn't do anything for. It doesn't do anything for Aspire or VCarve Pro. I'm running VCarve Pro because that's what I made the video in. So, okay. Yeah, same here. I even tried it without the Z. Now, in the web browser, you can also hold down Control and over on your number pad, hit plus to increase and then minus to back out. But again, it doesn't work over here. Doesn't work at all on VCarve. So, let's see. Michael Ludwig says just Control and wheel. Yeah, that worked on my browser, but it didn't work for VCarve. So, Rick Jackson says, yeah, only in my browser too, not Vectric. Okay, well, uh, Dennis says, tried it on my YouTube window, got a bird's eye view of your left nostril, and now can't get it back to default. Well, what can I say? Um, um, hold down Control and tap minus, but click on the your browser window. Hold down Control and tap minus on your keypad. Now that I've messed up everybody's display, thanks for that. We'll remove this. I'm serious. This is something that needs to be brought up with Vectric. And again, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. If there is, I do think that needs to be looked into. The ability to change icon colors and the ability to maybe magnify the size, because Kimberly makes some good points. I am real big in the 55 and older crowd. That is you folks are my folks. We speak the same language, and we're all in the same area, most of us. So it's really something that does need to be looked at. So if you have issues, if you would like to see the ability to change colors or even darken some of these icon colors, apply more saturation or something of that nature, by all means, send Vectric support an email. And the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And the more people that ask for it, the more likely they are to work on it a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? No guarantees, but yeah. So, um, let's see here. Were there any other questions? I plan on the next video in the Absolute Beginner series to get into saving G code. We'll be working a little bit more with a couple of other tool paths to kind of bring it advance a little bit uh, beyond what I've done so far. But I am working on a rotary axis video. I've got the software portion basically done. But what I have is I'm having difficulty wrapping my head around a couple of things on the rotary axis. And it's all based on this. The Avid CNC Mach 4 profile for the rotary uses, and this is going to get real nerdy and real technical, and you won't need to know this stuff unless you have the exact same setup I've got. It uses what they call a G93 inverse time setting for feed rates. If you have watched my old video from several years back with setting up Mach 3 to run a rotary axis, just a generic rotary axis off of Amazon, you'll know that the axis is angular rather than linear. So you set your motors up to run in steps per degree rather than steps per revolution rather than steps per inch or millimeter, whatever. And you set up your acceleration and your velocity to reflect those. And there's a mathematical formula you have to get into, what kind of gear reduction is on your rotary and all this other good stuff. But basically what it does is you're setting your velocity to degrees per second, or degrees per minute rather, or instead of inches per minute. And your acceleration is adjusted along with that. Well, Avid doesn't do that. Avid uses, instead of inches per minute, for example, for calculating feed rates on the rotary axis, it basically calculates how long that tool path should take to run. And it's a whole nother way of looking at that. And I'm having to wrap my head around it. So far, what I've been able to accomplish on the rotary has been so slow. It's crazy. Did a few tweaks this morning. I'm getting much, much closer. I think I'm ready to go ahead and chuck a piece in there and get going on it. It's just taking me a while to wrap my head around this whole nother way of calculating feed rates. But again, this is basically closed circuit for this setup. You probably will not have this issue. So what can I say? But suffice it to say, a video is coming on it. So yeah, the sausage making portion of this show. Yeah, I do like to nerd out on some things. Let's see. Do we have any questions at all? I'm not going to go back through the video. I mean, there's no sense if folks are good with it. Woodcutter says, just a non-relevant question. I see a magnetic bar holder on the front of your Rabbit. what are, I'll let you post the rest of your question, but I can talk about it a little bit. This is just one of those magnetic tool holding bars I got down at Harbor Freight by $5 maybe. And I, with the Avid CNC came some extra roll-in T-nuts and bolts. In case you drop one and it rolls somewhere underneath the tool and you can't find it again. They give you a few extras. I grabbed a couple of those extras and I mounted it down below. I see. What are the go-to tools on hand? Okay. Well, let me see if this will work here. Let me see. I don't know if my other camera will pick this up better. I'll try. No, not really. It's not going to work any better. So I'll go back to this and just hope you can see. What I have are basically the collet wrenches over here. And I have a little Japanese pole saw right here. I don't really use it a lot on the CNC, but I find I do use it a lot for other things. And having it right there handy is right there handy. I've got a box cutter and a pair of scissors. I've got a 1/2-inch El Cheapo 1/2-inch wood chisel that I don't really care about for when I use the composite nailer in the to hold down sheet goods. When I pull the piece off, those composite nails, sometimes they'll stick up above the spoil board. I'll use this El Cheapo, don't care about it, chisel to knock those pieces off. And I have two real tiny tip, flat tip screwdrivers, a regular flat tip, and a Phillips screwdriver up here just for putting on hardware, taking off hardware, or, you know, always something, just having tools on hand that I really use a lot. And I probably should get another one because I have a few other tools over here. I've got a pair of, what have I got over here? Safety glasses. I've got a pair of electrician's pliers. I have a center punch, a spring-loaded center punch that I use on occasion. I got little compartments built into this. This is a toolbox. I've got driver bits for Phillips and T25, my brayer for tape, pencils, couple of these little picks I use, especially when doing epoxy inlays. They help clean out the carve. So, let's see. It's a lot of fun. It's, I just, whatever tools I need that I use a lot. You can also see I've got various, there we go, various spools of tape there, safety glasses, camera mount, all kinds of stuff. Anyone else imagine Mark listening to Grateful Dead in his headset? No, just me. I don't listen to music in the shop. I find I can't hear it as soon as I turn something on anyway, and it's a distraction. I focus. I mean, believe me, when I'm running a table saw, nobody is more aware of where my fingers are and where that blade is than I am. And I find it to be a distraction, so I don't listen to music in the shop. But I do listen to Grateful Dead, seen them twice. So Eric says, do you have a link for the composite nailer and nails? I will get a link and put it down in the description as soon as we're done. But basically, I have the Omer composite nailer that's available on the Avid CNC website. And I had used the, I think they're Raptor nails. I may be wrong, but I'm almost positive that's what they are. Yes, they're the Raptor nails. They're 15 gauge, and I have the 1.25 size and the 1 inch size. And the 1 inch size, I tend to use on anything less than 3/4 inch. But yeah, it's the composite nails are great for MDF and plywood, but they are not good for solid wood, solid stock. If you get them too close, and I mean within 2 inches of an end of a piece of solid stock, it will split it. And because 15 gauge nail is pretty big. So I like it for plywood and MDF, but I don't use it for solid wood, even soft woods. So let's see, but I will get them for you, Eric. I'll put them in the, see, I just wrote myself a note. I'll put them in the description of this as soon as we're finished. So music keeps me focused. Otherwise, I wander off and start new projects before finishing the work I'm on. Welcome to my world. My whole life has been a series of unfinished projects. And that's why I call them UFOs, unfinished objects. I mean, you know. Let's see. Let's see here. Rick Jackson says, how can I ramp in a 1/8 inch bit for slots in a soap dish? Start shallow in the back and get deeper to the front. About 3/4 material and 1/4 inch or so max depth V-Carve Pro. Okay, for that, if I'm understanding you correctly, you'll want the fluting tool path. And let me show you how that works. Let's bring this back in here, and I'll get to yours in just a second, Kimberly. And let's say this is our soap dish. Close. It's big. I know it is, and I'll center it. And we want to put slots, 1/8 inch diameter slots here. Let's say we want 8 slots. So I'll draw a vector from here to here and spacebar to close that. Now with that selected, we'll make a linear array. I want 1 row in Y. I want, what did I say? We're going to make 8 of them? 8 of them. I'll make 8 columns in X. I'll just do a quick gap of 1/4 inch. Backspace. We'll fill that out later on. We'll change this in just a minute. Copy. So I've got my 8 vectors. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to move it down here. That looks about right. Good enough for what I'm doing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into alignment tools, and I'm going to select all of these. And what I want to do is I want to space them horizontally. So it's going to take this first vector and this last vector, and it's going to space all of these evenly between the two. And there we go. Something else you can do click off, is I can select all of these, hold down Shift, and select this one, then put a check mark in inside last vector, and it'll take all 8 of these lines and it's going to space them evenly inside this vector. Close. So now they're all evenly spaced. Okay? The space from here to here is the same as the space from here to here, here to here, here to here. All that stuff. So, one of the things that they did in version 12 of the Vectric software is if you select these open vectors, you'll see that there's a black line, a black dot up here. That is the vector start point, because that's where I clicked at the top, then brought it down and clicked at the bottom. That's the vector start point. We can confirm that by going into node edit mode by typing the letter N. We see they're green. That means all of these vectors are going to be carved this way. Okay? That's fine. If you want to change them, we can select these points here, right click, make start point. Well, okay, it's doing them individual. That won't do them all at once. So I have to do them all this way. Make start point. I thought I could change them all at once. This will carve bottom to top. So get that done. Okay, that's fine. I'm happy with it. Tap N to come out of node editing. Now with those vectors selected, we'll go over here to the fluting toolpath. And that's this one right here. Okay. The start depth. Using a 1/8 inch bit, I would probably start at, well, it's up to you. It depends on how deep you plan on carving this. You said 1/4 inch max depth. 1/4 inch max depth. Let's go with a flute depth of 1/4 inch and 0.25. I'm going to start with a 1/16 of an inch. That way you have just a little bit of an indentation rather than starting with no slot at all. So we'll say 0.03125. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch end mill. Select. I'm going to ramp over the complete length. So the ramp is going to start right here. And it's going to go all the way down. Okay. And we'll do a linear ramp. And we'll calculate it and see what we get. It's still starting up at the top. Let's see what happens. Yep, it started down at the top and worked its way shallower. That's not good. I don't want that 1/8 inch bit to plunge 1/8 of an inch in, or 1/4 of an inch in, and then work its way back out. Let's go back, reset preview. I want to start there. I want to go there, ramp over the complete length. Close this. I can't go into node editing in the... That should be starting right there. Why is it starting on the deep end? Let's check this out. Why are we starting up there? Ramp over complete length. Ramp at start end. Linear. This is making no sense. It should not be starting up at that end. It should be starting down here. That's my start point. Let me, and I use vector selection order. Let's try that. See what we get. Nope, we're still starting the plunge up there. That makes no sense. Michael Ludwig is saying, I think you have to ramp at start. I don't think you need to, because we're ramping over the complete length. I want to start shallow here and work deeper there. I don't want to start deep and run shallow. That makes no sense. That makes no sense that I'm doing that. It's starting up at the top. It really shouldn't. Let me change my start dip to 0. I don't think that's going to make a difference, but nope, it's starting up at the top. That's unacceptable. Don't remember. Kimberly says, love watching you figure it out. Yeah, well, I do a lot of this live. And when you come to the members only live stream, you'll see what I mean. Let's go back, reset that preview. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back out here to, let's go back to a top view here. I say, let's go back to a top view, 2D view. And I'm going to delete those and start over, drawing from the bottom to the top. Now this should not make a difference, but let's see if it does. I'm always learning things, and this is an example. Linear array, not changing anything else. Copy, close, and I'm not even going to bother with the other measurement. I'll just shift to select that inside last vector, and we'll arrange them. Close. Now we'll select all of these. I say we'll select all of these, and they're 3125. Calculate. It still wants to start at the top. It doesn't matter which direction they are calculated in. Wow. This is odd. And I can't select the start point. So it's going to plunge down to 1/4 of an inch. All right, Michael, I will ramp at start, but I'm telling you, it will not make a difference. Okay. 100% ramp. Let's calculate. It's still starting at the deep end. It's still starting at the deep end. And that's wrong. It should start at the shallow end. Let's see here. My inner voice says turn the piece around 180. That shouldn't make a difference. That should not make a difference. It's still plunging into the deep end. But we'll give it a shot. I'm not opposed. So let's go to the 2D view, uncheck the tool path, and select the whole thing. 9, 9, 9, 9. Now we're rotated at 180. Okay. We'll go back. And well, I'm going to go back to ramp over complete. A linear ramp. We'll calculate. Now that started down here. but it's still plunging in deep at the very beginning. So I got to figure this out. This is just not right. It should not plunge down. Let me go back in here and take a look at something here. Look at the tool. Yeah, it's got a pass depth of 1.25. So it should only plunge in 1/8 of an inch. Let's close this, go back into the preview, reset the preview. I'm going to slow the speed way down so I can see what it's doing. And we'll preview it. Okay, it is. Yep, it's doing it all in one pass. That is not right. That is not right. Well, it is only plunging in 1/8 of an inch, so I guess it's not too awful bad because it is doing it in 2 passes. So I guess that's not too bad. Okay. All right, my fears have been alleviated. But that's basically how you would do it. But that's basically how you would do it. It is respecting the pass depth of the bit. It's not exceeding that. So if your pass depth is set right, it should be okay. If your pass depth, if that's too aggressive for you with a 1/8 inch bit, then you might want to change that. I'm just not used to it starting at the deep end and cutting shallower. So as long as it's not overstressing that bit, we're okay. So, all right. I was asked the other day, how do you turn off the vectors in the 3D view? That is this tool panel over here. If you look at this second icon right here, that turns the vector visibility on and off in the 3D view. So right now you can see they are blue. If I click on it, they turn gray, and the vectors are no longer visible out here in the 3D view. If I turn them back on, the vectors are visible in the 3D view. Now, let me come back over here into 2D. And John Thompson asked a question, shouldn't the vectors be shorter so they stay inside the dish? They could be. And again, this was more or less just how to accomplish that ramp, not so much design. If you wanted, you could definitely select all of these, click, and you can make the vectors shorter this way. Or conversely, if you wanted to keep that within the dish, personally, I think that they should be bigger so that the water drains out, which is the whole purpose for this. So you would want, technically, you'd want the vectors to come outside of this so that, click off, go into fluting and recalculate. Then I would also select, come on, you can do it, computer. It's being very slow. Okay, let's go over in the 2D view. Select that, close, profile, cut depth in Z equals, select the 1/8 inch end mills so we don't have to do a tool change. Outside, for the demonstration, I'm not going to worry about tabs or anything like that. Reset preview, speed that back up. So we preview all tool paths, and that is your soap dish with a 1/4 inch deep trench there and 1/16 of an inch deep trench here. So the whole purpose of this is to drain water away. So that's how that would be done. Okay, so let's reset the preview and close this. Go back over to the design space, the 2D view. Kimberly had a question. Do you have a second to show a circle with concentric circles half covered by a rectangle? How to join them? Okay. I think I don't know what layout you're looking for. But let me play around with this a little bit here. I'll delete that. I'm going to jump back over here and delete all of these. Right click, delete, delete all. So I have no more tool paths over here. Come over here now. I've a circle with concentric circles half covered by a rectangle. Let's see. Okay, Dennis says, I reproduced your example with only one line and it would start at the start point, whether it was top or bottom, so maybe something there. That might be. I'll take a look at it. Oh, okay, trying to make it look like a record album coming out of its jacket. Got it. Okay. Well, so what we'll do is I'm going to change this to a square to simulate a record jacket. And what we'll do is we'll go to Transform Objects, and I'm going to uncheck Link XY. Let's make this 6 by 6. And, well, no, 6.25 by 6.25. And we'll apply that, made it square. Okay. I'm going to drag it down here. All right. So now we've got a circle. And I want to make it 6-inch diameter. And I'm going to put it right there. Close. Now, concentric circles to indicate the, let's say, the tracks, the different songs. All right. Just for giggles. So what I want to do is offset inwards by, what would we do at 6 inches? Let's go 0.375, just for giggles. Let's see what we get here. There's one, and maybe the next song is a little bit longer. And we'll offset that one by a half. No, I goofed that up. Okay, I want to select this one, then offset this one in by a 1/2 inch. And the next song is shorter. And the next one offset. Now we'll do the label. I think for the label, I would just come in here. Let's see, what size is that? That's 3 inches. Close I think I'll just come in here and do a 2-inch diameter, and that's the label. Okay? Now how to join these. To do an epoxy inlay, you're wanting to do a multicolor epoxy pour. For this, I would not join them. What I would do for this, for an epoxy inlay, and there's a lot more that I would do to this. I would create a polyline just inside of this. So start here, come straight over to here, click, accept that. Close. That's going to be my division line where this epoxy pour is going to end. And trim. Get rid of all this. Come up here and get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Now comes the hard part. The hard part is you would need to select this vector and this vector. And it includes the bottom vector. Copy that to a new layer. Then select this vector, and this vector. Aha. Let me go into node editing. Cut. I don't want to include this outside arc. Cut. I need this to be separate. Come out of node editing. You get my point though. Select this vector and this vector and this vector, copy it to another layer. This vector, this vector, this vector, copy it to another layer. So you would have total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers. We wouldn't even get into the album cover yet. Each one of these bands would need to be on its own layer. This could be an entire project. This could be an entire project video. That's basically the starting point, because then this would end up being one closed vector. This here, and this segment right here would be one closed vector. Then this here, and this segment of this bottom vector, and as well as that, would be another closed vector. You would figure out your pouring order of which colors you were going to pour when, and you would need to overlap. If these were going to be different colors, you would need to overlap this vector into this one, and this vector into this one, and this vector into this one, and this vector into this one. That way, when you made each cut, you get a sharp line without any wood sticking up through. That's a whole nother project. That's a whole nother discussion. It's a great idea, and I like the thought of it. I really do. Especially if you were to put an album label here as well as an album cover there. I like it. I like it a lot. I have a series of videos on a playlist. I just wrote myself a note. to post a link to that that playlist down in the description as soon as we're done here. But I have to use Aspire for this. And we'll see if Aspire and VCarve want to play nice. They don't always. Do I have, I think, yes. There is these are the vectors for the Pirate epoxy inlay that I did. And that is the final project. Each of those are different colors of epoxy. This was my first epoxy inlay, and it was 15 colors cut over the course of 6 days. So this is it's a process. There are 6 videos on that epoxy inlay playlist, and 4 of them deal with this particular project. The other 2 are live streams I did with Shane Peters and Rob Sandstrom, and they are definitely worth watching. But if we come over here, here is my point. If we come over here into the layers tab, remember this was 15 colors. Those are all of the layers that I used to make that epoxy inlay. Each vector you see in a different color is on its own layer. Okay? When we jump over here, you can see how many tool paths that is. Each one of those layers had a minimum of, well, no, not every single one. Most of them had a minimum of 2. Some of them had 3 tool paths associated with each color, depending upon how big the area was I was carving out. Like the outline around the skull, that was only 1 tool path. Where the outline of his brown shirt, that was 3 separate tool paths. Now, Steve has already linked the epoxy inlay playlist. Thank you very much, Steve. And he did the Pirate epoxy video as well. It's a very involved process. It's a lot of fun. And yes, you've watched them all. You're brave. And thank you. So, yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. So just remember that they all have to be closed tool paths. And that may mean, well, that will mean putting each one of those on a separate layer. Now, if that's not what you meant, if you just wanted to do a black album with like gray lines separating the tracks, that's different. You can do that with an open vector. But you can just carve right on the line and then pour that color. But it's, yeah, including the itchy leopard wood. That was weird because, I mean, well, as you saw, that leopard wood was gorgeous stuff. It's beautiful. But if I grabbed it by this corner, for instance, I don't know if it was pitch, resin, tannins, what it was, but it would get on my fingers. My fingers wouldn't hurt. My hands wouldn't hurt. Everything was fine. But if I then came over and like rubbed my cheek right here, within about 5 seconds, that would start burning where I rubbed that cheek. And it was like a strong chemical had been applied. And oh my God. So it's sad. I've still got a bunch of it, but I don't dare use it for anything that anybody's going to touch. So I was going to make my granddaughter's jewelry boxes out of it. Nope. Okay, well, that was kind of a narrow cast, but a good rabbit hole to dive down. And there are a lot of ways of handling that. There are a lot of ways of just dealing with the overall design. Need your shipping address. I have used a couple of pieces of it, but uh, wood is really expensive to ship. That's crazy. But I mean, we'll talk. Let's see. I think if we have no more questions, let me keep cruising back up here. Sugar magnolia, blossom blooming, heads all empty, and I don't care. Yeah. Um, let's see. In the profile toolpath, could you go over the separate last pass option and allowances? That is in the next video. I'm going to do the next absolute beginner series. But Kurt, we will talk about it tomorrow night. I will make a note right now, and we will talk about that tomorrow night. Everybody else, you'll have to wait for part 4 of the Absolute Beginner series, but that is part of part 4. Let's see here. Leo says, I break out like poison ivy when I touch leopard wood. I didn't get to that point. What I would have to do is stop whatever it was I was doing. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I have isopropyl alcohol out here. Just wipe it with that real quick, then go in the house and wash my face or wash my hands and everything else. That's why I handle it with gloves. It's a shame because it's a beautiful wood. It's very, very similar to lace wood. In fact, let me do this. Let me bring up a comparison here. And just one more second here. And all right. Just doing a quick Google search. Looking at lacewood. Well, there's a good picture right there of the difference between leopard wood and lacewood. It's subtle. It has to do with the colors. They're different trees. I think they are in the same family. They are in the same family. But lacewood is a lot lighter color than leopard wood is. You know, just looking at the differences here, you can see that's a real pale, milky, almost a red oak or white oak color. But you get into leopard wood, it's dark, reddish, brownish. I mean, it's beautiful wood. I just wish I could handle it. But that's just not happening. So, what can I say? It's gorgeous, though. No, I don't want that. My wife is trying to do me a favor by bringing in a piece of, no, don't need it. Don't need it. I'm showed pictures. I'm not touching it. She's trying to bring in a piece of leopard wood. I'm like, no, not happening. Not live. No prompting from the studio audience, please. Okay, well, anyway, yeah, okay. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now. This is, we've kind of gone off the rails. It's not a matter of letting her say hi. She doesn't want to say hi. She doesn't do in front of the camera, not often at all. She has, I think, 2 videos on her YouTube channel that actually show her face. She doesn't like to be on camera and has no interest in doing this at all. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. I have discovered that it is counterproductive for me to even attempt to say what I'm going to talk about next week, because something's going to happen and I'm not going to be able to get to it. So let's just say it's going to be a surprise for all of us. Channel members, tomorrow is the members only live Q&A, and I have to set it up today. I'm a day behind. So let me show you where to find the links to the live Q&A session, the members only live streams. And that is over here. Go to YouTube, go to my channel. Well, I go to my channel by doing this. You can't do this. Haha. Come right down here to the community tab. Click on the community tab. I'm not going to scroll, but you scroll down and you will find the posts with the link to the members only live stream. I post normally. I create the members only live stream on the Saturday before, and I post the links on Saturday. I'm a day behind. I will post the links this afternoon, as soon as we get off here. And this is where you'll go to find it every week. Members only live streams are Monday from 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern, and we have no time limit. We'll go for as long as you guys can stand me. So also, if you're a member and you're on Facebook, you will find a link. My email address is in the description of every members only live stream. We love pictures. We love shop pictures, project pictures. Send me an email with your Facebook profile, a link to your Facebook profile. I will friend request you and get you added to the super secret Facebook group and live chat. So that's for all channel members. And you can go over here also, channel members. You can come over here to playlists and you will find created playlists. You will find a members only playlist. Where is it? There it is. Members only playlist of all of the past members only live streams. Currently have 116 of them. We've been doing it for 2 years. Those are all available for you to watch. And you'll find my email address in the description of each and every one of them. So thank you for becoming a channel member, Kimberly. And I hope to give you value for your membership. I'm not going to get into what I'm going to do next week because I don't know yet. So let it be a surprise to everybody. Tomorrow on the members only live stream, we're going to be getting into some files y'all have shared with me, working on some difficulties, some problems, some issues, and just generally do a big catch up of some killer project pictures you guys have sent me. If you have comments, questions, concerns, this is everybody. Put them down in the comment section and I'll get to them. I read every comment. I can't always reply to each and every comment, but I read all of them. So if you would like information on how to become a channel member, real easy. Look below this video panel and you'll see join. That's a link. Click that join button and a panel will pop up. A video will play that'll tell you all about channel membership. So, hope to see you guys next week. Channel members, hope to see you all tomorrow. That is everything. I think that's everything. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. Now go do something cool. Go make some sawdust. Or if you already have, sit down, relax, take it easy. This is supposed to be fun. Remember? Keep it so. Y'all take care.